right, it's Saturday night and it's Tech Sabado. Welcome po sa inyong lahat. Jing Garcia po ng TechSabado.com and of course the Manila Times on our 10th year and of course new format. Magandang gabi po sa inyo on a Saturday night. 8 to 9 p.m. po kami ngayon. Siyempre ma'am, parate for over 10 years now. So, ayan. Pakilala ko muna ating mga kasama bago tayo mag-start. Siyempre, ang Executive Editor ng Newsbytes.ph, walang iba kundi si Atty.
Melvin Calimag po, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. At of course, we welcome you to another very exciting and interesting episode of Tech Sabado. Nandito po ulit tayo sa Quad, sa Asian Century Building here at the heart of Bonifacio Global City in Taguig. And of course, we have Limang Siglo, our collaborator here, led by J.R. Contreras and his angels. Jing?
Yes, ayan. Again, may isa pa tayong host na matagal namin kasama namin. Siyempre, ang Tito ng San Pablo, Laguna. Ang iba kundi si Tito.
Bibitawan ko na yung Tito ng San Pablo. Nasa BGC tayo. Raymund Tribdino po, Tito Tribs ng The Manila Times, cleantechnica.com at Tech Sabado. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat mula sa BGC, hindi sa San Pablo.
So gaya ang sinabi ni Atty, no, magiging exciting tsaka interesting na naman itong usapan natin. Pero kakaiba ito sa mga pag-usapan natin, tulad po na pag-usapan natin the past few weeks. Ngayon, balik tayo sa talagang tunay na tech. Ito yung mga back-end ng technology na parati naman namin pag-uusapan dito sa Tech Sabado. So, Tito Tribs,
ikaw na lang, attorney.
Okay, sige. Ako na po mag-introduce sa ating very prestigious guest for tonight. Dati siya nakasama ng ating kaibigan na si JR way back, no, sa IT industry. But lately, she has been basically all over the news. She bursts into the scene like a star. So, we'd like to introduce for tonight's episode si Miss Ann Cuisia, the founder and the CEO of TraXion, an IT company based here in the Philippines, right? Miss Ann, can you tell us more about what you do and about the company as well?
So, I'm Ann Cuisia, been in the industry for X number of years. Huwag na natin sabihin yung 30 years. Baka pa tayo ng mga age.
Pare-pareho naman tayo. Over 30 years.
So, technology has always been a passion of mine. After the corporate stint, I did my own startup, trying to provide help to the underserved. As initially with the charitable organizations, non-profit organization, when the GoFundMe was really high in other countries, when we don't have such thing in the Philippines, I created Gava Gives, allowing charitable organization raise their funds more efficiently when there was no GCash at that time, and accessing payment gateways were very complex. So it was that kind of initiative that led me to the other things that I'm doing right now. And we pivoted to more technology-based products, but mainly on the fintech side. We now help more cooperatives, rural banks, lending companies in the payment side. So nandun pa rin tayo, fintech, no? But at the same time,
what exactly do you provide? What kind of services?
Digital platforms for them
micro-lending?
Among other things. It's just a platform for them to do their business more efficiently.
Okay.
So, because of course, having this end-to-end solution would be very costly for rural banks, cooperatives. We also do have, payment cards, machines, payment solutions, basically, cash management.
So you work with the likes of Land Bank, ASA Philippines, mga ganun?
Yes. Land Bank is our technology. We are the technology partner of Land Bank. We're doing some initiatives sa sideline and also some lending companies, as mentioned.
But because incidentally, my wife works at Land Bank, And I have good friends there, like sila Alan Bornas, you are, yes.
Of course. We talk to them, we deal with them.
Pero it sounds like it's a CSR, yung approach yung, I don't know.
Pag ganun, no?
Oo.
Sa mga...
Where's that passion
underserved
coming from?
Yes, it's not CSR per se
Oh,
because
yes. Pero it sounds like,
those
sounds like
contracts
naman.
are
Yes.
Yeah, but as I mentioned, after the corporate experience, I ventured into helping non-profit organizations. So hindi nawala yung advocacy to help the underserved and the unbanked, I mean. So yung una naming market was really for cooperatives. The first few products that we launched were really for cooperatives. Of course, because these cooperatives, they don't have not just the wide pool of technology talents, but also the resources to build digital platforms. Marami pa ding manual processes. And also for rural banks, we have a lot of rural banks. In the past, during my corporate years, there were 700 plus rural banks, but lately, trimmed na sila to 300 plus because the playing field is not that equal and not fair in terms of the digital platform and their capacity to operate one. So we have a B2B type of model where we have more of SaaS products for them to subscribe and then do their processes their banking processes.
At siguro at a very
Very
affordable
reasonable.
price.
Very affordable, of course.
That's good kasi there was this study by the Philippine Institute of Developmental Studies saying that until now, 50% of Filipinos are unbanked. Oh,
Okay.
they don't have access to kahit may may Paymaya or GCash. Big part of our population are still unbanked. So malaki pa opportunity for you.
Correct. Pre-pandemic, it was very low in terms of digital access to fintech platforms. But the pandemic paved the way for the wallets to surge, the wallet use to surge. But still, if we are to categorize as formal bank account holders, maliit pa din. It's not, nag-increase tayo probably from 55 to 65 currently, pero meron pa ding naiiwan. But we do support grassroots cooperatives, we do support yung community and the rural banks, the community banking, because sila yung malapit talaga sa mga tao eh. Both fisher folks and farmers, sila yung malapit dyan.
What's keeping them from getting part of the banking system? Wala bang identity? What's the main hindrance? Wala bang identity system or what?
Probably in the earlier years, yun yung main, no? And the number of qualifications or the number of documents that they need to provide the bank. But marami na tayong informal in a way na may digital access. Not necessarily the entire banking access in terms of loan products and other savings and deposits. Nandito sila, a huge chunk is in the e-wallet system. And that's what we are also providing as a added value layer to the banking platforms of rural banks because they are not like BPI, BDOs, and others who would be able to provide or build hundreds of millions of pesos worth of mobile banking. So we provide them a mobile banking that's generic to all rural banks, but still be able to onboard their customers and link their savings account to the wallet system, and they'll be able to do all of this in and out of money more seamlessly. So that's the value.
Ako, probinsyano ako. So I come from San Pablo, and micro-lending is very strong there. We have Card Bank in San Pablo. And I had once the opportunity to deal with Card Bank and looking at their system internally, micro-lending. So, as a probinsyano, how will I automatically or how will I quickly benefit? Does it require only the phone to benefit from all of the products that you just mentioned?
So long as your bank, for example, whether that's card or other rural bank, has availed our service,
Okay.
you now then, just your phone, you'll be able to onboard yourself because
Okay.
we have the whole suite of KYC, and then, of course, link it to the core banking of the bank, and then you can now access your bank products there. And from there, you can do what GCash and other mobile banking is doing.
Okay, so if I need to like, say I own a floating raft in Yambo Lake and I'm giving you an exact example, and there's this promotion po ng tourism sa San Pablo in the lakes of Yambo and Pandin. There's a cooperative there of old women who have a raft, and then they serve you lunch and you pay X amount for lunch. That it used to be like all cash. And then they discovered GCash, and now I found out loans are their problem. So how will I do that now? How will I tell them, oh, punta lang kayo rito, and then, what will they do? What are the things that required? Will they sasanla ko yung raft ko or whatever? Ano ba yun?
Yeah, the products and services that we have engage the business or the banks,
Okay.
not the end customer.
Okay,
so we
The
are a
cooperative
B2B
also.
model,
Okay. Got it.
not a B2C.
Got
Yeah.
it.
So
Okay.
their banks or their cooperatives need to be in our ecosystem.
Okay. Got it. So it's because of the nature of it being B2B, really requires them to be requires the cooperative infrastructure.
Yeah, the entities. Our mission is just two words.
Okay.
It's enabling enablers.
Wow.
So
Okay.
the enablers are the co-ops, your rural banks, your
Correct.
lending companies, small financial institutions. So we enable them so that in return they're enabling the communities they serve.
How do the big banks see this kind of initiatives come from?
Definitely, even without us, these entities will thrive because the personal relationship is still there. But we just make it more convenient for the end users, and at the same time, for them to keep the relationships that they built throughout the years so that they don't move to the bigger banks. But I don't know whether it's a threat, but I'm sure the big banks are okay.
But like for example, no, yung mga tao sa probinsya, can they actually differentiate fintech from a bank? Do they, or it's just one entity for them?
When you say the fintech or the service that we
Yes.
provide,
Oh yeah, something.
no, we are not customer facing.
Oh yeah,
okay.
oo nga pala.
Okay.
Yes,
Diba?
yes,
So
yes.
it's
Oo.
B2B. So if you are, for example, banking or transacting with your multi-purpose cooperative, you still, stick with them. But you'll see a lot of improvement once they are in our ecosystem because now it's not just cash payments, it's not just manual loan application, that you do, like all the manual deposit.
Yep.
It's all, they can do that over their phone.
So since yung mga nasa probinsya, medyo, yun na nga, marami silang unbanked. So what's the approach sa ganitong initiatives from your end?
So basically, the banks there, the rural banks there, or lending companies and cooperatives, they can approach us, and because we have 3 white label platforms. So we have DigiCoop. DigiCoop is a digitized co-op platform, specifically for cooperatives yun. We have also RBPay, Rural Bank Pay yung ibig sabihin nun. So it's a layer that they can sit on top of their current back office to be the front office. We also have MicroPay for microfinance naman. So whatever is the lending solution that they have already built inside, the front office becomes the MicroPay mobile app. So people can just download it and then they'll select, kunwari, yung kanyang micro-lending ABC. Okay, dito ako magle-lend. Yeah.
Okay. Sige, break muna ang Tech Sabado and we'll be back in a few moments. Okay, we're back dito sa Tech Sabado, and of course, we'll continue our discussion regarding the unbanked and some other back-end technology na ginagamit ngayon sa mga industriya like banking and fintech.
Okay, kanina pinag-usapan natin yung solutions for the underserved sectors, specifically yung mga unbanked by TraXion, company founded by Miss Ann Cuisia, our guest for tonight. Aside from that, ano pa yung iba pong advocacy?
Iba nating advocacy or iba nating techvocacy. I call it techvocacy because the
Advocacy,
advocacy that I have is using the technology tools. No? We're very passionate about transparency. That's why we want, we have pushed, and even before pandemic, as kasama ko nga yung kasama ninyo na si JR, we've been pushing blockchain technology, especially for good governance.
How do you exactly want to push this agenda in terms of achieving transparency in the government?
Yes. Initially, the blockchain that we have created before is really meant for enterprise. Ledgering yan but you put the trust and accountability in that and the verifiability. But because of what's going on in our country, we decided to shift that enterprise blockchain to a more public blockchain, but for the specific use cases of our government, which is to trace, to track, to monitor expenditures and hopefully even revenues of our government.
Speaking of blockchain in governance, we saw you as a resource person at the Senate. What exactly were you discussing during the hearing?
So I had the privilege to sit in the technical working group in the Senate because probably they saw or heard me, or probably the paper or the article that I wrote went viral when the good Senator Bam Aquino initially submitted the blockchain the budget bill. So I was there as a technologist who understand a little bit about law, that you cannot legislate a particular technology. And probably they didn't know, whoever, has put this together, probably they didn't know that blockchain is a very specific technology. Because the essence of the law is legislating a principle or an outcome, not the actual tool. Because an actual tool will appear in a TOR, di ba? Or in the IRR, but not in the law. Because you want the law to be timeless, boundless.
Neutral.
And neutral. So that you do not lock it in or tie it up to certain vendors or certain technology or certain tool. So that after na magkaroon ng obsolescence, for example, or a better technology will come up, then the principle or the outcome will still be achieved, which is what? Accountability of our government officials, transparency of the data, and especially the budget.
So are you saying it's wrong to legislate blockchain?
A particular tool or a particular technology.
Like blockchain,
Like blockchain.
as a platform?
As a tool.
Oo.
You do not legislate that, but you basically legislate the outcome or the principle that you like. So that blockchain the budget bill turned into what now? The Cadena Act, or the Citizens Access on Disclosure of Expenditure for National Accountability. Yun yung acronym ng Cadena.
Yeah.
So it's more neutral. It doesn't specify any technology, but it specifies the principles behind and the kind of framework. It's more of the framework that will be designed so that you can the citizens will be able to access a tamper-evident and tamper-resistant data. Meaning, pag lumabas na yan, for example, from DBM, they have BTMS or the budget system. Kung ano yung ma-exact mo doon, nobody can alter, nobody can edit that. It becomes tamper-evident. If ever someone alters that, malalaman natin kasi may authorship na tinatawag. You would know sino yung nag-alter and that makes it more trustworthy. Kasi yun na yung natin ngayon the condition right now is that the trust of the people has really eroded because of what's happening.
Pero isn't that the characteristics of blockchain?
Yes, it's a characteristic that you can define in the implementing rules and regulations or in the TOR, but you do not put. But you can have those characteristics as a generic principle
Hindi tayo
in
malalock
the law, but you do not say,
Blockchain.
it's only blockchain.
Hindi tayo malalock
Okay, yes.
in
So
one
for
technology.
non-techie audience that you have, for example, right now, it's like saying, okay, I'm going to mandate that here in the Senate or in the lower house, the only tool that we will use for presentation is PowerPoint. You don't do that. Because after 5 years, probably, wala na PowerPoint. Canva na or other tools. So, you do not legislate based on that.
Okay.
Kasi may tendency kasi parang feeling nila may savior mentality yung this particular tool. Kaya yun ang ginawa nila na baka nga tama nga baka tayo ma-lock in isang technology na baka 2 years from now hindi na gagamitin. Which is ganun parati nangyayari sa atin pag when it comes to legislation. No? Parati tayong huli. Napapansin ko, parati tayong huli when it comes to, especially cybercrime law. When it was implemented in 2012, sabi ng critics, huli na tayo because nag-move forward na yung mundo.
Ang nakakatuwa kasi the President has made the Cadena Act a priority bill.
Okay.
So, before ending 2025, the 3 readings in the Senate happened, and the Cadena Act, submitted by and authored by Senator Bam, was, passed. So now the ball is in the lower house. So, pero nababagalan tayo. Bakit ngayon lang? Bakit May na? If it's a priority bill, sana nung January na nag-open sila, February, may March pa, sana na-tackle na siya sa
Do
lower house.
they have a different version ba? What's
You have to have
happening?
two versions. Isang Senate, isang lower, di ba?
Yes. And most of the bills na nasa lower house were copied from the original blockchain, the budget bill. Nandun pa yung pagiging tool-centric. So, kailangan natin umupo again with them and explain to them what I just explained to you guys a while ago. And from there, I think once they are enlightened, they will revise it. And ang prayer natin, ang hope natin, is that they will just adopt what the Senator Bam
Yung
has
version
already.
ni Bam.
Yes, para mabilis. So,
Oo.
kung okay na sila doon, then okay na tayo, mapapas na natin siya as a law.
Siguro baka sa BICAM,
Wala na siya kung wala nang pagtatalunan. But if there are certain provisions that the lower house would have a different that they have inserted, then magkakaroon pa tayo.
So what's
ng
taking
BICAM.
them so long? Anong
I
nangyayari?
don't know. I don't have their calendar.
Pero have they passed it on first reading?
No, wala
Not yet?
pa.
Not even
The first call will be next week.
Okay.
So I'll be I was invited to sit down with
Committee.
them. So it's good opportunity, and I hope I'll have the opportunity to be heard.
Oh, that's yan, committee by
By
Sino ba to?
Representative Migs Villafuerte.
Mix Fuerte.
Congressman.
Oo.
If not
Camarines Sur.
Yes.
Oo. Akala ko naisip ko si Brian Lamanzares kasi rin yun taga Congress din representing a party list. Yun. So hopefully kung sinasabi ni Presidente dapat priority bill. Well, tama si Miss
Sana,
dapat may
bilisan.
nangyayari na, no? Oo. Para
Makakatulong to. We cannot say, and I don't like to be a hypocrite and say this will eradicate corruption.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a behavior. That's a moral issue.
Correct.
It's not a technology or whatever issue. But it can minimize, it can be a deterrent. Ang importante dito is not really solving 100% the corruption issue. It's shedding a light on what's going on on
Okay,
the data, the budget data that we have. Sino ang nag-i-insert, sino ang naglalagay, ano yung mga nilalagay. Are we really fulfilling those items na those budget that we allocated them for?
I have good friends in the tech industry like si Angel Redoble. They have some reservations, criticisms on this on this blockchain bills kasi nga sabi nila parang yung savior mentality na
Yung may solution sa lahat.
Parang ganon. What we need to do daw is of course yung process. So, but I think you are correct that saying na this will help. Dapat natin entirely.
And we do not isolate na itong blockchain lang. Like for example, we demonstrated a sort of like a POC portal. We got some data from a certain department. We harness it. We deliberately put a wrong data or a wrong price of an equipment deliberately just to see how it will work. We do not want the people, the public, to dig into so many PDFs or so many documents. We want to provide them a portal that's intelligent. So with the combination of AI, in that POC, we asked our AI there, what can you say about this contract? Okay, and it says, based on the standard industry price of this so-and-so, this is overpriced by 10x.
Okay.
Because that's a deliberate field or value that we put.
Tong tax.
So that we can just test. So the experience was very good. It's very seamless. So you harness the data, make sure that the data is locked, and then that data, you feed it to your AI, and your AI will give you some diagnosis.
Balik tayo ulit mamaya in a few reminders lang.
Hello, I'm Melvin Calimag of Newsbytes.ph.
Jing Garcia of the Manila Times.
Raymund Tribdino, Tito Tribs ng Manila Times at ng cleantechnica.com.
Please like,
Share
Follow Tech Sabado
Tech Sabado.
Tech Sabado.
sa YouTube at Facebook.
Okay, we're back dito sa Tech Sabado on our last portion. I-continue natin yung usapan natin. Kanina, pinag-usapan natin yung blockchain, di ba, attorney?
Yes, and to further expand our conversation with our tech wonder lady, si Miss Ann Cuisia here. Aside from from blockchain, what are your other advocacies pa?
I'm also pushing for cybersecurity, AI. Recently, I did a video essay on anti-political dynasty, but let me go back to cybersecurity. I also sat as a resource person in the lower house for the cybersecurity bill, and naglagay tayo at nag-comment tayo sa iba't ibang provisions doon, that just making sure that first and foremost yung human rights muna, in terms of freedom, na yung cybersecurity hindi siya magamit for surveillance, right? And also, in the other advocacy rin natin when it comes to AI and cybersecurity, the combination of such will touch on our national ID, for example, di ba? Because our identity belongs to each and every Filipino. Individual asset yan eh. Hindi mo asset ang ID ko, hindi ko asset ang ID mo. So I do believe and I would like to push for self-sovereignty. When you say self-sovereign, ako at ako lang ang may hawak ng identity ko. It shouldn't belong to any business, to any entity.
Everywhere.
And it shouldn't belong to the government. Kasi though may mga batas tayo dyan, sometimes pag silent yung batas po, pwedeng in the future maging point of entry for abuse. For example, it could be used dahil ngayon sasabihin ita-tie up ang national ID sa ayuda or ita-tie up ito sa mga access. What if, di ba, in the near future, based on your behavior or based on your dissent or your opposition to the government because they hold your data, sabihin nila, tatanggalan ka ng access to this or they'll monitor your whereabouts or your bank or your financial status. So yun yung gusto natin masulong sana soon, no? Someone from the Congress or from the Senate will sponsor that.
But isn't that part covered by Data Privacy Act?
Yes.
Magkaiba pa yun eh.
Okay.
Ang data privacy versus a self-sovereign identity is totally different.
Okay.
Though sasabihin sa'yo, i-prevent ka, but in practicality or if you are to really dig deep, how would you know that it will not be used?
Okay.
Yeah? So, tayo, ang sinasabi natin when you say national ID or your ID is self-sovereign, that would be a pass-through access or a mechanism that instantly purge the record and it's not saved to any database of any entity, any department, and it's permission-based. So, for example, if you need to, DFA would need to access my ID, then I'll be notified to give it. Or if another agency will need it, I should know.
You need to get to your consent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
consent-based and it's self-sovereign.
Okay, but when it's if we're talking of self-sovereignty and we're talking about the technology for that, where will it be stored? Will it be stored on my phone? This is a question coming from ignorance, and I want it to be answered. Will it come from my phone? Because I'm imagining Star Trek. This is a science fiction thing to be self-sovereign on your communicator or your phone, for example, your phone. So when you say sovereign, that means there is nowhere the data will be stored except to you, or will it be a way that your data is stored somewhere and will only be accessible by encryption or an access in that particular server when you
cloud ba,
when you
private
prompt
cloud?
it? Ganun ba 'yon?
The self-sovereignty has nothing to do, partially, something to do with where you store it.
Yep.
But it's more of the access. We're
Okay.
talking about
The
access.
consent or the
The
access.
consent,
Okay.
yeah. The interface, whether that's phone, a web, or what, could be later on discussed and where to port it, the portability of it.
Correct.
But the important thing is the consent base and the who is accessing what.
Okay.
Does this also apply to social media? Kasi, di ba, nandyan yung expose yung data ng mga tao sa social media. Kasama ba yan?
The content of, medyo malalim and wide yung content mo sa social media. You have your photos, you have your location, you check in different places.
Correct.
But we're talking here about the ID.
Just the
lang.
ID.
Just the
that
ID.
Especially now na surveillance, yung mga government are into surveillance, no? With all the cameras all around.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
With all
okay.
the mga...
In different countries, di ba, may mga behavior-related
Yes.
threat scoring sila.
Yes.
So, what
True.
if you
Ganun din dito, no?
express opposition or dissent, and then sasabihin, sige, matatag na to because they have your identity,
Correct.
it could be used against you.
Okay.
What prompted you to make this push? Kunya, for example, parang to preempt the government from doing nasty things. Ano
Because-
yung
Yeah, I'm pro-freedom. I'm pro-human
Okay.
rights.
Okay.
I'm pro-independence. We are an independent entity. We are our own entity. So, because we, as technologists, we understand, and it's kind of scary what technology can do.
Yeah.
But us, we have this responsibility to think ahead of time, ahead of everyone. Ano yung mga dangers dito na hindi pinag-uusapan typically but can happen?
pwedeng gawin, no?
Pwedeng mangyari. So,
Correct.
lagyan na natin ng guardrails ngayon pa lang.
Oo.
So, yun yung more of that talaga why I'm pushed into this kind. So, sabi ko, nga, nobody's talking about this. And siguro what triggered me was the blockchain, the budget bill. It's so simple. And for people like us na naiintindihan na, bakit very specific yung legislation na yun? There's something wrong. And I found that chance and opportunity to help the government be the technology voice and kind of interpret it in the way that they would understand it for non-techies na, ito yung mga potential dangers dito.
The reason I mentioned social media kanina, kasi yung tinatawag ngayon na surveillance capitalism, you said you're into freedom. Di ba yung surveillance capitalism, dapat you have to be free of your choice rather than the choice of this, ng mga platforms na gusto nilang ibenta sa'yo. Yeah. How do we escape that right now if kunyari nandiyan ka rin sa initiative na gusto mong about the national ID?
Private platforms, privately owned platforms, though they have an opt-in, may mga nakukuha ka out of that eh. So
Okay.
it's really your prerogative to really opt-in or not. Kasi sila yung may control doon. But I'm talking from the lens of a citizen towards what the government can do
More on the
to
government,
its people. Private firms, hindi natin yun pwedeng i-touch kasi kung ayaw mong pumunta dito sa lugar na yan or ayaw mong i-access yung ganong platform, nasa sa'yo yun.
Yep.
Pero I'm all for using the right technology with the right governance, the right guardrails when it comes to government implementing it over us.
Government implementing it over us.
Yes.
Pabalik ako sa national ID. Sorry, pabalik ako sa ID. Mugulo. So, we're talking of ID, not the national ID, right? We're talking of identity. Am I correct? Because we have to make our terms very clear. Kaya ako tinanong kasi yung question kanina about where it's stored. Di ba nagkaroon tayo recently ng problema about servers not being paid. It came out of
Na-DDoS daw, di ba? Kaya nag-down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, whatever that complication is, the next question is the government skilled enough to manage the technologies that help manage our lives?
That's a very political
Yeah,
question.
no, it's not a political question. It's a technological question.
No, it's assessing their capacity. So,
Okay.
I'm not in the position, Your
Okay.
Honor. I will inhibit myself from...
Fair enough.
But there's a lot of room for improvement.
Okay.
That's
enough.
better
That's
question.
enough.
But may I ask, lahat kayo may national ID?
Yeah.
Ako,
Ako ba?
ako have.
Ako wala eh.
Ako wala.
Ako meron.
Sorry, I don't trust...
The government.
no. I don't trust myself. No.
Yeah.
No, I
Pero
don't.
di ba, yung ganyang klaseng surveillance is so dystopian.
Yeah.
Kung titingnan mo in a larger lens, napaka-dystopian ng ganyang so yung freedom mo, ang kalaban mo dito is kumbaga Big Brother. Di ba? Kaya lang, actually nakakatakot eh. Yung how especially minsan hindi naman sinasadya pero yun ang direksyon ng government. Hindi ko alam kung
And
sinasadya.
hindi mo masasabi yun because you have the World Economic Forum, you have this big councils over us, we're not just talking about national level here,
Yes,
but global.
Yes.
Correct.
So,
But some people like that eh. Yung gusto nila ganyan eh. Yung for them, it's safety, security. That's how they see it.
yeah. Two schools of thought.
Yes.
And we
Okay.
will agree to disagree.
Okay.
But we don't agree to that kind of dystopian entity. Okay.
Okay.
Ganda.
Alright.
Sige. Okay, maraming salamat to our guests.
Thank you for having
Do you
me.
have
Thank you.
last words to our
Last
viewers?
words parang
Mamamatay. And then, parting?
Nothing political.
I think to our listeners and in the general public, I want us to be more discerning. Times have changed eh. Mahirap, marami nang naiba, marami ng different elements and factors affecting how we live today. Especially nagsimula yan sa pandemic, we have different kinds of approaches, may mga iba't iba tayong paniniwala. And right now, in terms of governance, medyo under the microscope ang gobyerno because of this issue and anomalies that came out. I'm sure hindi naman to lahat nangyari during this period. Matagal na to. These are like ilang dekada na tong nangyayari, but we just probably hindi siya pinag-uusapan, probably maraming blind and ngayon natin nare-realize, and we need to seize this moment to be vigilant. Kailangan mapagmasid, and we need to put pressure and promote good governance. Doon lang tayo. Wala tayong kulay dito. Wala tayong pinag-uusapang tao. No personality or whatsoever. Let's just demand accountability and excellence from our government.
Okay, on that note, we'd like to thank Ms. Ann Cuisia, the founder and CEO of TraXion, for kanyang advocacies and her fierce belief in transparency, in accountability, and data privacy.
And actually, lumilit yung chance natin, kaya we have to take it.
Yes.
Medyo narrow eh.
Correct. So, ako po si Melvin Calimag ng Newsbytes.ph. Huwag niyo pong kalimutan sundan ang aming mga kami sa social media properties namin sa Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and of course, YouTube. Okay? And of course, we'd like to thank again our venue host, Quad here at Asian Century Building in BGC, and of course, our collaborator, Limang Siglo, led by Jerry Contreras and Miss Angels. Tito Tribs, ka naman.
Gandang gabi po, Raymund Tribdino po ng The Manila Times. Makibaka, wag matakot.
Uy, okay.
Okay, Jing Garcia po ng TechSabado.com, and of course, The Manila Times. Huwag niyo kalimutan, Sunday Business and IT bukas po sa Manila Times. Okay, good evening everyone, and have a safe Cyber Week sa inyong lahat, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.